Hello Wargamers, it's me Callum from TotW Banter, and in today's video I'm going to be responding to Vince Venturella's topic of the week. That's right, it's that time of the week, Monday morning, when I sit down and chat absolute garbage about something, and then those who click to view it listen, I suppose, or not, as the case might well be. But in today's video we're going to talk a little bit about toxic players, which is the topic of the week from Vince Venturella's topic of the week. And I was hoping on making a video of this in the future. There's no better time now, obviously, with this topic of the week coming out, so I thought I'd basically respond to it. Now, the whole premise of this video is to talk about how you deal with toxic players. But I think it's important first to define what a toxic player is, and then how you deal with it. So to me, a toxic player is someone who is playing the game not to have I suppose, a shared experience, if you see what I'm saying. So, although that's very hard to, I suppose, pinpoint, someone who turns up to make other people not enjoy their hobby. You know, no one enjoys getting table turned 2 every single week, or someone who cheats, or someone who, you know, no one likes to play against players who cheat, players who don't play to the agreed standard. You know, like maybe you talk about bringing certain things and then they bring something to counter that, or you know, that kind of thing. Like, basically, a toxic player is an asshole. There's no other way around it. They make the whole experience unpleasant. So how do you deal with it? Well, I mean, it's obviously something that people have been thinking, sort of questioning maybe, for some time, and I don't think there are many ways you can, I'll be honest. You could try and talk to them, but chances are, if they're set in their ways, they're not going to change. You could try and encourage them to play other game systems or in a different way or something like that. But again, that's really not going to happen, because you have to remember, these people are not here so that you and them have fun. They're here so that they get a kick out of a game, and they couldn't give, you know, 2 craps whether you enjoy it or not. Whereas for me, I think it's important to have a shared experience. I found that the best games I've had have been against players who have said, you know, who have been kind, who have not cheated, who have, we've basically talked a little bit about lists before we turn up, and you know, like I said in the social contract video quite a while ago now, you know, it's that kind of thing. It's a shared experience. You know, it's 2 players. It's not one versus a computer. And I think that's where toxic players kind of fall into, that kind of like just being a dick. So how do you deal with them? The only way I have found to deal with a toxic player is to stop playing against them. I know it's a really bad solution in some senses, because you know, that might be, you might only have 2 or 3 people in your gaming group, and one of them might be toxic, so now you're already said you're down to like 1 or 2, so you don't get that variation. But that person is never going to change unless they stop getting games. It's as simple as that. There's one in the local store around here, the local Games Workshop, who apparently where it basically sits in the store in the store, and someone will go, oh, does anyone want 1,500 points or 1,000 points of 40k? And he goes, yeah, sure. Waits till they get their list out, and then puts down the Lord of Skulls, which is like an 888 point beast of a model from Forge World, not even properly painted, and plays with that, and then like basically a bog standard sorcerer and 2 units of cultists for like 1,000 points or something stupid. Basically, he's an arsehole, and it's kind of gross that that's a thing. And the only way that he's not going to do that is if people don't play. So he hasn't had many pickup games lately, because you play him once, you say, that was the worst experience in my 40k life, and so you just piss off and you don't play him again. And honestly, that's the only way you're going to get these kind of people to change, because they obviously want to play the game, and one day they'll realise they're not getting games, and in order to get games they have to change their attitude. I won't play an arsehole twice. I'm quite happy to not. And obviously it's very difficult when you're at the time and you're like, this guy's being such a dick and I'm just trying to enjoy my game. You know, what do you do then? I think that's the harder question to answer. So it's very easy to play them once and then never play them again. You don't have to, you know. But dealing with it right there and then is the much harder principle. If my opponent was going above and beyond the duty of being a knobhead, then to be quite honest, I'd probably just concede. I've got no problem with losing, even in a tournament. If he's being that much of a pain in the arse, You know, you give him no sportsman marks and you concede, and you just say, look, you can win. I don't want to do this anymore. And to be honest, they might feel like they've won. Obviously, they've lost that opportunity to play another person again, and it's not going to go down well in their sort of reputation, if you know what I'm saying. Like, a lot of it can be about that. A lot of it can be sort of like he said, she said stuff, and you know, that kind of like on the grapevine kind of thing. You know, oh, you don't play against that guy, he's a dick, and stuff like that. So basically, what I'm trying to say is, as I suppose a nice little conclusion point here, you don't have to play a game against anyone you don't want to. So if you're in this situation, even in the middle of a game, and this person is just really, really getting to you, and it's like, can you stop being so rude, or like, can you stop cheating? And they're just not relenting. You just say, good game, you shake their hand, you be polite, you pack up your models, and you move somewhere else. I don't mean like move town, obviously, that would be quite drastic. However, I do mean sort of like play someone else, or go and watch someone else's game, and you don't have to socialise with that person, you don't have to be overtly polite, you just have to be not rude, you know, like shake their hand, say thanks for the game, and then never see them again. And slowly this person will start to recognise that it's not because he's such a tactical genius that you're having to concede, it's because he's being rude. So obviously toxic players are quite a sensitive issue in wargaming. We don't want any at all. We'd rather have it where everyone's friendly and anyone can have a nice pickup game and not worry about coming head to head with this guy who just brings like an army of like super heavies, even though you said, oh, you know, I'm just bringing my Imperial Guard blob, or I'm just going to bring this super fluffy, really fun, like Tzeentch Chaos Demons list or whatever, using the old Demons Codex, which was a bit garbage, and you had all your demonic instability and stuff, and you're like, yeah, I just want to play, you know, lots and lots of horrors, or I want to do, you know, no summoning, just kind of cool lists and stuff like that. If you want to play a fluffier game and they come along, they drop down 3 Imperial Knights in like the household detachment, and they're just like, oh, what? It's still, you know, still legal. And it's like, yeah, but it's legal, but you're kind of being an arse. So anyway, that's enough rambling from me. I know I have a tendency to go off on one, especially if it's something I'm interested in and passionate about, much like this kind of thing. You know, the whole social contract thing is important to me, and it's important that everyone has a fun time, you know, because we are in this hobby together. It's not that big a market, it's still quite a niche, and so you don't want to isolate yourself, and you don't want gaming groups to get smaller and smaller because of it. But the only way that's going to happen, the only way you're going to keep big gaming groups, is if you basically pluck the weeds to have the flowers really grow. I think that's probably the best analogy I can come up with. So thank you ever so much for watching. Of course, don't forget to like and subscribe, and leave those comments below. It's always interesting to hear what you guys think about this. I would be pretty interested on your views, of course, as always. Yeah, so thanks ever so much for watching. It's been me, Callum from TotW Banter. Don't forget, have fun.